Everyone, welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. We appreciate all our viewers continuing to join us all in real time. I'm your host, Mike Page. Always great to be with you on this Sunday edition as we continue to bring you the world of top stories, live feeds, and some of the top talkers right here on Live Now. And one of those talkers has to do with the Menendez brothers. Their court hearing is set for tomorrow, so we will learn a lot new information as it seems like they get closer to possible freedom. So let's bring in right now a friend here of the program, Live Now from Fox. This is Nima Rahmani, former federal prosecutor. Thanks so much for being with us on Live Now.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
All right, so yeah, all eyes right now on these Menendez brothers, of course. They got a big push this year with the Netflix drama and then also the documentary that was about their case. And now so many people itching to see what is going to happen next here with the Menendez brothers.
No question, the Netflix series Monsters really has shine a big spotlight on Erik and Lyle's case. You know, I'm here in my hometown of Los Angeles. We have a big hearing tomorrow, but there are three things really happening simultaneously, two in the courtroom and one outside. Outside, Governor Gavin Newsom can, of course, commute or pardon the brothers. He said he's going to wait until the new district attorney makes a decision, but that's something that's politically happening in the background. But there's two simultaneous legal proceedings that are happening. Tomorrow is the status conference for the former district attorney George Gascon's resentencing recommendation. He's trying to have the brothers sentenced from life without the possibility of parole to a sentence of 50 years to life in prison. That's important because the brothers were youthful offenders at the time and under California law. That means they're eligible for parole after 25 years. Of course, they've served 35 years, which means that they could be paroled. Now, the important thing is the status hearing. The real hearing on the resentencing is going to happen on December 11th at the earliest. Well, at that time, we're going to have a new district attorney here in Los Angeles. It won't be former DA George Gascon. Nathan Hochman is going to be sworn in on December 2nd. So the timing of all this matters, and it's still up in the air whether Hochman is going to honor Gascon's resentencing recommendation.
Yeah, and that is such an interesting part of all this where really up in the air now when it comes to a whole another DA. And when this was first announced, there was a lot of people in the district attorney's office that were conflicted, right? Some were for this and others, they didn't feel like it was proper.
They are really polarizing figures, Erik and Lyle Menendez. You know, on one hand, I believe that they were the victims of sex abuse at the hands of their father, Jose, and that their mother, Kitty, was complicit or helped groom them or cover it up. You know, the question, though, is that a license to kill your abuser? And really, under the law, and under California law, just like most states, being sexually abused is not a license to kill. So I know some folks are arguing self-defense. They're saying that maybe Jose would have killed the brothers if they outed him. I don't think that's necessarily the best argument, and certainly not a particularly good argument with respect to their mother, Kitty. Let's not forget that Erik and Lyle shot and killed their parents while they were sitting on the couch, eating ice cream and watching TV. Not a particularly good self-defense case, which really goes to the brothers' habeas petition. That's the other proceeding that's also happening at the same time. The resentencing in the interest of justice essentially is really amorphous standard that says the brothers have served a long time. They've, by all accounts, been model inmates while in California State Prison, and being victims of abuse, maybe, just maybe, they should get a second chance to be part of the rest of society.
And Nima, a lot of people, when they have really been talking about this case, researching it on their own, and they say, okay, if it did happen the way that they say, where the dad was sexually abusing the two kids here, a lot of people say, okay, if you're going to kill him, why are you killing the mom as well? And then going on this massive shopping spree after they're gone and really not mourning like you should be.
That's the argument against release, that they shot Jose 6 times. They reloaded and they shot and killed Kitty short 10 times. And of course, they went on this shopping spree, hundreds of thousands of dollars in the late 90s, which would be equivalent of millions of dollars today. So the argument is that, the sexual abuse, even if it happened, that wasn't the motivation for the murder. These brothers wanted their parents out of the way so they can access their fortune and just spend it. Now, obviously, we don't know what was going on through their minds. Since the time of the conviction, there has been two new pieces of evidence, at least the defense says, that have been really ignored, at least until now. The first being that Jose allegedly molested an individual named Roy Rosello, a member of the Mexican boy band Menudo. And there was a letter that one of the brothers wrote their cousin 8 months before the murder outlining the abuse. So again, not necessarily saying this will carry the day because the self-defense argument is weak, but this is why so many people watching and on social media favor the release of the brothers.
And lastly, Nima, if we see the brothers one day walk out of a prison, what does their life look like? And how does, they've spent more time now in jail than they had freedom. So how does that whole really psychology of it all kind of, okay, now you're a free person once again. How does that work for someone when you thought you were going to be spending the rest of your life behind prison?
Well, it's not easy, and we've seen it both in real life and in movies. Shawshank Redemption, you see people that have spent their whole life in prison and they can't really live on the outside. I would say, given the celebrity status that these two brothers have, and there's a somewhat similar case, Gypsy Rose Blanchard, she and her boyfriend killed her mother who was abusing her. I wouldn't be surprised if the brothers are indeed released, that we see them on some sort of reality show. There's a lot of celebrities that have come out, Kim Kardashian, Rosie O'Donnell, obviously they're here in Los Angeles where a lot of these shows are filmed. I wouldn't be surprised if they have their own show if they're released sometime in 2025.
Yeah, that would definitely be a lot of people would be watching, and no doubt about it. Well, Nima Rahmani, thanks so much for breaking it all down for us on the eve of this big hearing that we will see tomorrow. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike. Big hearing tomorrow.
You take care. All right, and we are going to continue on right now and want to provide a little bit more information and context here with this story. Fox 11 earlier this week speaking with the Menendez brothers' attorney, Mark Geragos. Let's bring that to you here on Live Now from Fox.
Will be allowed to attend the Menendez brothers' highly anticipated court hearing on Monday, but they have to score a lottery ticket first. Court officials say 16 seats inside the courtroom will be available to the public via a lottery that will take place outside the Van Nuys courthouse on Monday morning. Okay, Mark Geragos, he joins me now live. He is the attorney for Erik and Lyle Menendez. Good to have you. Thanks so much for being here. Let's start off with Monday. For those members of the public who will be there, can they expect to see Erik and Lyle Menendez in the courtroom? And what can we expect from this status hearing?
Well, I don't think that their bodies will be there. I think they'll be there virtually by WebEx. Seems like an awful lot to have carted them up here just for the status hearing. Although I would expect on Monday that we will confirm a December 11th date and make sure the judge has got enough time, because December is always tough. And then I think we also we may actually try to call one of the witnesses on Monday just briefly to address the court because of her age concern. We may also talk about the recall of the sentence and kind of plot out exactly what the hearing itself will look at, would be my guess. And I don't want to presume or tell the judge what to do, but I have suggestions as to how that would look, and I'm sure we'll discuss it.
Okay, so then bottom line is nothing major will come out on Mondays. Gearing up for, you mentioned December 11th for folks watching at home. That is the actual resentencing hearing. You talked about, of course, Thanksgiving is next week. You said right here that you hoped that they would be home by Thanksgiving. Are you still hopeful?
Well, one of the reasons that I kind of pegged it to Thanksgiving is Joan, who is Kitty's older sister, who desperately wants to have them home. She turns 93 this next week. 2 day or 1 day after the hearing is her 93rd birthday. I also did just 2 weeks ago, Friday, what's called a conditional examination of Jose's older sister, Terry, who has a couple of health challenges herself. And also, I don't think she wants me telling her age, but she's a very young and vibrant in her 80s. She also would like them home. So it's always been my fervent hope to get them home for Thanksgiving. If not Thanksgiving, then hopefully for the holidays at Christmas.
Okay, because, you know, the incoming district attorney for Los Angeles County, Nathan Hochman, he was here last week, and he talked about really the only plausible way that they would actually make it home before Thanksgiving is if, in fact, Governor Newsom granted them clemency. We know where that stands because Newsom came out and said, basically deferred to Hochman to let him do his thing. Where does this all stand right now? Have you spoken to Hochman himself? Because he seems to have a different take than Gascon. He's not as, you know, gung-ho to get them released, in that he says he still has to have go through a lot of paperwork and all the evidence to make his decision.
Well, I take him at his word. I haven't spoken to him yet. He says he wants to speak to the prosecutors who tried the case, which is tough because David Kahn, who tried it the second trial, is now dead. Juan Mejia, who was, I believe, third chair, is still in the office, and I think just got a promotion. If I saw the list of supposed assignments today, but he also said he wanted to speak to the defense lawyers. He wants to speak to the victims, all of the family on both sides. As I mentioned, Jose and Kitty's family, save one relative, more than 30 have signed off on a petition, all wanting them to come home, wanting them to come home immediately. You'll see a number of the family members there on Monday in the courtroom flying in because they want to be present. If he goes through, and I'm hopeful that he will, all of the what's called the C file, which is their correctional file, if he goes through and talks to correctional officers who are dealing with both of them, I don't think anybody who looks at the C files and looks at what happened and sees that they've done 35 years can come away with any conclusion, but that it's time for them to be released. I've never seen victims on both sides of a double homicide, both sides almost uniformly, save one, who have advocated strongly for the perpetrators to be released, and this is the case.
Just to put a bow on this, December 11th, the resentencing hearing, could that be the day then that final decision is made where the judge says we're going to resentence to manslaughter, which means that they essentially could walk free on December the 11th, or opposite and make the judgment call that no, we're going to keep them in?
Yeah, I think that's entirely possible. There's also a myriad of other possibilities. We also have next week, on Joan's birthday, coincidentally, the 26th, is the day that the habeas response, a separate proceeding in front of a separate judge, Judge Ryan, is also due by the DA's office. We're waiting to see what the DA does there as well. That's a challenge to the conviction itself. That's not even a resentencing. And we also have the governor, as you've mentioned, who's out there and has the ability to weigh in at any time and either give a reprieve, a pardon, or a commutation.
Okay, well, we will be watching, and no doubt we will ask you to come back and give us your take. Mark Geragos, defense attorney, thank you so much for being with me tonight.
All right, so that was Fox 11 coverage there of interviewing the lawyer, Mark Geragos. We are going to take a 2-minute break on Live Now from Fox. Of course, we'll be bringing you the updates that happen inside of that courtroom tomorrow in the Menendez case.